Who are the FBI's most wanted? Well, these are the fugitives that the FBI deem the most dangerous to the public, and if they are on the list, all eyes are wanted on them. Typically, out of the people that are put up on the list, about 9 out of 10 of them are caught on average. So basically, this informs the public of the information of these fugitives in the hopes that it increases the chances that they will eventually be caught. When one person is caught, how do they decide who replaces them on the list? Well, each of the 56 field offices in the United States submit one person that they believe is fitting for the list. Typically, these people are chosen based on how dangerous they are to society. This danger is measured by their previous criminal history and how serious it is, as well as if they are considered armed or violent. Once again, I want to reiterate that these aren't typically the most dangerous people, however, they are the most dangerous of the relatively unknown offenders. Also, I want to make it very clear that it's just not murderers on the list. It can be anyone from a murderer, obviously, to a terrorist, to someone that just steals stuff. It just basically depends on how dangerous they are to society. Once each of the field offices choose their candidate, they send the candidate along with the information of the candidate to the FBI's Criminal Investigation Division, also known as the CID, as well as the FBI's Office of Public Affairs. The director of the CID then chooses if they like that candidate or if they don't. If they believe the candidate is dangerous enough to be on the top 10, they then okay it, and it goes to the deputy director of the FBI, who then, if they say it's okay to put them on the list, they get put on the list. They then remain on that list until they are captured or deemed not worthy of being on the list anymore. Hi, I'm Fred from Frightopia, and today I will be explaining to you the top 10 fugitives on the FBI's most wanted list as of July 2022. I will explain a brief background of the individual as well as what they did to put themselves on this list. If you do know any information about any of these individuals on the list, please submit a tip to the FBI at your local field office or online. I will leave steps to that in the description. For this video, when I talk about what people did, I am not making any opinions myself or saying what I think about the matter. I'm simply stating the facts that are given to me and just reiterating them so that you guys are aware of it as well. So if you are on the list and you are watching, don't shoot the messenger, okay? I mean, that might be a little too much to ask because you are on the list for a reason, but yeah. Also, I'm going to issue a content warning, so if you are easily disturbed, I highly recommend you click off the video. Before I get into this video, I want to thank you guys so much for the support that you have shown me on my last 2 videos of the iceberg. I was going to do another iceberg, but I wanted to kind of mix it up real quick and just make a video on this before I hop into another iceberg, just so my content isn't just, you know, like strictly icebergs, I guess. That makes sense. And if you do enjoy the video, I ask that you like, subscribe, and comment if you want. It'll really help out a lot. And once again, I'm Fright from Frightopia, and let's get into the video. Alejandro Rosales Castillo is a 23-year-old man that was born in Arizona. In 2016, at the age of 17, he worked at a restaurant called Shomar's in Charlotte, North Carolina. He worked with 23-year-old Truquan Liley, I believe is how you pronounce it. Also known as, I'm just going to refer to her as Sandy because that's her nickname and it's a lot easier to say. He and Sandy used to date briefly, and he apparently owed her a lot of money. On August 9th, 2016, he texted her to meet him at a Quick Trip on Eastway Drive in Charlotte to pay her back. His girlfriend at the time, Amia Feaster, picked him up in her red Dodge Caliber and drove him there. The day after the meetup, Sandy was reported missing. Castillo and Feaster were also reported missing on the 11th and 12th respectively. On the 13th, Feaster's car was found on the 1100th block in Doolin Creek Boulevard in Charlotte, and Feaster and Castillo called their families, telling them that they were safe but they didn't know where they were. And on the 17th of August, Sandy's body was found in a ravine in the woods near Carias County, North Carolina, with a single gunshot wound to her head. It is believed that when Castillo and Feaster met Sandy at the Quick Trip, Castillo forced Sandy at gunpoint to withdraw all of her money from an ATM. He then drove her to the woods where he shot her. It is then believed that they fled in Sandy's black 4-door 2003 Toyota Corolla, which was found on the 15th in a bus shelter in Phoenix. Surveillance footage has shown Castillo and Feaster crossing a border into Mexico from Nogales, Arizona. On October 20th, 2016, Feaster then turned herself in at Aguas Calientes, Mexico. She was then extradited back to the United States, where she was arrested in Houston, Texas. She was charged with an accessory after the fact of a felony murder and larceny of a motor vehicle, and released on January 18th, 2017 after her bond was posted. According to her and Castillo were staying with his cousins in Aguas Calientes for 2 months, and one day Castillo just disappeared. Castillo has been charged with first-degree murder and unlawful flight to avoid persecution. Hey guys, it's Future Fright here. I just want to say I'm editing the video right now, and there's a couple times where I say persecution instead of prosecution. I think I typed too fast and the script auto-corrected to persecution. So yeah, I just wanted to give you guys that heads up in case you guys noticed that. My bad. And he hasn't been seen since his surveillance footage on October 16th. Here is his description provided by the FBI. He was added to the top 10 on October 24th, 2017. He is considered armed and extremely dangerous. Ruja Ignatova, also known as the Crypto Queen, was the founder of OneCoin, who was born in Bulgaria. She soon moved to Germany and earned a PhD in private international law from the University of Constance. Her first run-in with the law was in 2012, when she was convicted of fraud in Germany due to her connection with her father's acquisition of a company that was shortly declared bankrupt. She was given a suspended sentence of 14 months, and in 2013 she was involved in Bitcoin, a cryptocurrency, before starting OneCoin. Obviously, Bitcoin was also fraudulent. After she created OneCoin, she gave a lot of passionate webinars that led many people to believe that the cryptocurrency would be bigger than Bitcoin. It obviously wasn't the next Bitcoin. You're not hearing about it today. It wasn't even encrypted, so she basically just scammed people out of $4 billion. She was last seen boarding a flight from Bulgaria to Greece on October 25th, 2017, and has not been seen since. It is believed that she has about $500 million with her and has very high quality fake identifications. This, along with the possibility of her most likely getting plastic surgery to change her appearance, along with the armed guard she most likely travels with, this is why she has not been caught or even seen. There are rumors that Greek police are close to tracking her down due to her having meetings nearby in the area, but this is unconfirmed. Ignatova has been charged with conspiracy to commit wire fraud, conspiracy to commit money laundering, conspiracy to commit securities fraud, and security fraud. Here is the FBI's information of Ignatova's description. She was added to the top 10 in late June of 2022. Cardenas is a member of the Pierce Street Gang in LA and might even be an associate with the Pakioma Van Nuys Boys or something like that. They're also known as the Anybody Killers, which I probably should have just said in the first place because it's a lot easier. And he apparently goes by the nickname of Dollar. He is suspected of firing 6 shots of a semi-automatic handgun at a barbershop in Slimar, California. This happened on August 15, 2019, and a man was standing outside of the barbershop and he was hit in the head by one of the bullets. The man died, and Cardenas was obviously charged with murder as well as unlawful flight to avoid persecution. He is believed to have fled to Mexico, where he is working as a construction worker, and he is considered armed and very dangerous by the FBI. The FBI has released footage of Cardenas walking into a parking area as well as running out of a parking area on the day of the shooting. He hasn't been seen since, and here is the information of Cardenas' description as given by the FBI, and he was added to the top 10 about a week or two ago, depending on when this gets uploaded, on July 20th, 2022, and he is considered armed and dangerous. Jason Derek Brown was born in 1969 in Los Angeles, California. He earned a master's in international business and is fluent in French, and has even served for a mission of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Why is this guy on the top 10 list? Well, let me start from the beginning. Brown owned 2 businesses called Toys Unlimited and On the Doorstep Advertising, which he ran out of his home in Salt Lake City. He was also employed as a golf importer as well as a toy salesman in order to earn extra cash to support his lavish lifestyle. See, on the outside, he liked to look like a wealthy businessman that owned all these businesses. However, that wasn't the case, and he was actually extremely in debt. This basically leads people to believe that he committed like petty thefts or even like frauds just to get money to keep up this facade. He is not on this list due to these petty thefts or fraud, however. It's because of what he did on November 29th, 2004. On this day, he ambushed Robert Keith Palomares, a armored car guard. Robert was loading an armored car with the weekend deposits of an AMC theater at 4915 East Ray Road in Phoenix, Arizona. When he ambushed him, he shot Palomares, who had no time to defend himself even though he was armed, 5 times in the head with a .45 caliber semi-automatic Glock, which he purchased and learned how to use just that month. Polymerus obviously died from his injuries, and Brown rode off with $56,000 on his bicycle. The police used this bicycle to find out that it was Brown who committed the murder due to his fingerprints being on the bike. After being charged with first-degree murder and armed robbery, he fled to Henderson, Nevada, and soon made his way to Los Angeles, Nevada, where he swapped his BMW MC for his black Cadillac Escalade that he had in storage. He then stayed with some relatives in Orange County, California, who he left on December 6, 2004, an hour before FBI agents showed up to arrest him. He then went to San Diego, California, near the border to Mexico, and then up to Portland, Oregon, where he went off the grid, and there has been little sign of him since. His Cadillac was found abandoned in a long-term parking lot at the Portland International Airport, and his brother was also charged for obstruction of justice for deep cleaning Brown's BMW. This case is very interesting because of Brown's quote-unquote surfer dude look and a quote-unquote ability to blend into crowds. The FBI has had over 200 leads in the case, and allegedly one of Sean Penn's stunt doubles were arrested because people believed that he was Brown. Brown was obviously also charged with unlawful flight to avoid persecution and was later added to the top 10 list on December 8, 2007. There's also allegedly a credible sighting of him in 2008 in Salt Lake City when a fellow missionary of Brown recognized him at a stoplight. Brown made eye contact with him, looked shocked, and then sped off through the red light, so there's a good chance it was him. FBI officials believe that he is still in Salt Lake City to this day due to all of his contacts being there, as well as the fact that for him personally it would be hard for him to change his lifestyle. One theory is that he is living in the Mormon community in Utah with a fake identity with a family that doesn't know his true identity, or even in France, Quebec, or Thailand. Here is the description of Brown given by the FBI, who is considered armed and extremely dangerous. Arnoldo Jimenez married a woman named Estrella Correa on May 11, 2012. The couple had a 2-year-old son at the time, as well as a 9-year-old daughter that Correa had had from a previous relationship. After their marriage, they celebrated like any other newlyweds would. They had dinner with their friends and then went to a nightclub to party. They then left the nightclub at 4 in the morning on May 12, 2012. They left in a black 4-door Maserati that belonged to Jimenez, where they were believed to get in an argument, which led to Jimenez stabbing his new bride multiple times, less than 24 hours after they got married. He dragged her body to the apartment, dumping her body into the tub, with her still wearing the silver dress from her wedding. After Carrera failed to pick up their children on May 12th, family reported her missing, which led to her body being discovered on the 13th. Since there was no sign of forced entry as well as no sign of Jimenez or his car, he was quickly charged with murder on the 15th, as well as unlawful flight to avoid persecution on the 17th. Investigators then tracked his phone calls trying to pinpoint exactly where he was. He used it on May 12th in Chicago, and then Southern Illinois, and then later in Memphis, Tennessee, and then Arkansas. The following day, he made a call from Houston, Texas, and then Hidalgo, Texas. Later that year, in September, police did a drug arrest on Jimenez's brother, Humberto, and during a search they discovered the black Maserati in his garage, with blood still in it. This finding made the investigators believe that Humberto drove his brother all the way to Mexico, and the FBI believes that he may be in Durango, Mexico, in the area of Santiago Papasquiaro, or in Reynosa, Tamaulipas, Mexico. I'm sorry if I butcher any of these names. I'm just terrible at speaking words from different languages, so please bear with me. Anyways, here is the information on Jimenez's description given by the FBI, and he was added to the list on May 8, 2019, and is considered armed and dangerous. In the summer of 2000, a man who called himself Carlos was given a place to stay, clothing, as well as work in Hunting Park, Philadelphia by Jorge Contreras. On July 29th, a 5-year-old girl named Ariana De Jesus was reported missing, and 5 days later, her body was found in the basement of the empty apartment building where Carlos resided. She was found to be strangled and wrapped in a trash bag, and one of the shirts that Contreras gave to Carlos was found all bloody. Of course, Carlos was nowhere to be found, and his sketch would soon be shown on America's Most Wanted. In 2002, Alexis Flores was arrested in Arizona for shoplifting, and 2 years later, police came to his residence due to a noise complaint, and when he gave them a fake ID, they arrested him for having a forgery device, which is a felony in the state of Arizona. He was noted to be extremely welcoming and friendly to these police, and he told immigration officers that he lived in Schaumburg, Illinois before moving to Phoenix. Flores was then incarcerated for 60 days and then deported back to Honduras back in June of 2005. How are these two very different crimes connected, you ask? Well, a sample of Flores' DNA was added to the combined DNA index system in 2006. And in March of 2007, his DNA sample matched DNA from the crime scene in Philadelphia, leading to the discovery that Carlos was actually Alexis Flores. So, on March 22nd, 2007, he was charged for unlawful flight to avoid persecution, murder, as well as many other felonies. He is believed to be in Honduras, but it is possible that he returned to the United States at some point. He has a notable large surgical scar on his neck due to an injury he suffered in Hurricane Mitch in 1998. Here's the FBI's description of Flores. He was added to the list on June 7, 2007, and is considered armed and extremely dangerous. Jose, also known as El Gato, was born in Mexico and eventually became the leader of the Beltran Leyva cartel, and his father was murdered by a rival cartel called the Gulf Cartel. Jose blamed a man named Juan Jesus Guerrero Chapa, a lawyer that was associated with the Gulf Cartel and represented Ocio Cardenas Gayan, the leader of the Gulf Cartel. Juan was living in Southlake, Texas as an informant for the United States law enforcement in May of 2013, and Jose hired a crew to track him down. Two assassins known as Clorox and Captain followed Juan when he was in his burgundy Range Rover with his wife around 6:47 p.m. While Juan was sitting in the front passenger seat, his wife was putting bags into the back of the car. The assassins were driving a white Toyota Sequoia and pulled up on the car. The one that was sitting in the passenger side ran out wearing a hoodie and a bandana and shot Juan in the side and the back, eventually killing him. 3 men have since been arrested for their involvement in the crime. However, the 2 assassins and Jose are still on the run. Jose is wanted for interstate stalking and conspiracy to commit murder for hire, and is believed to be hiding somewhere in Monterrey or Mexico City in Mexico. What is interesting about the aftermath of this case is that Juan's sister allegedly retaliated against Jose, beheading one of his relatives and sending him the video of it, trying to get him out of hiding or anger him or something like that. Here's the FBI's description of Jose. He was added to the list on October 13th, 2020, and is considered armed and extremely dangerous. Yulan is a Honduran man who is the suspected leader of the MS-13 gang in Honduras. He is wanted for racketeering conspiracy, cocaine importation conspiracy, possession of machine guns, and conspiracy to possess machine guns. He is also believed to be providing firearms, narcotics, and cash to members of his gang that are operating in the United States, as well as ordering the murders of rival members of rival gangs. He is believed to most likely be in Honduras, and here is the FBI's description of Yulan. He was added to the top 10 on November 3rd, 2021, and is considered armed and extremely dangerous. Patel was born in Varangam, Gujarat, India. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. And eventually married a woman named Palak. They went to the United States to visit relatives when Patel was 24 and Palak was 21. And while in the United States, they were working a night shift at a Dunkin' Donuts, in which one of Patel's relatives owned. Surveillance footage showed the couple working at 9:30 p.m. when they disappeared behind some racks in the kitchen. Patel reemerged by himself, turned off an oven, and then left. Customers who arrived at the store that night were concerned that no one was coming to serve them, and a police officer that was nearby came to check it out. And he found Palak, who had been stabbed multiple times and severely beaten, and she obviously died from those injuries. After leaving the Dunkin' Donut, Patel fled to his apartment on foot, taking some items. He then took a cab to a hotel near an airport in Newark, New Jersey, and paid in cash for a room, which was shown in surveillance footage. He checked out in the morning and was last seen on the morning of April 13, 2015, at about 10 a.m. when he took a hotel shuttle to Newark Penn Station in New Jersey. The murder was believed to have happened due to an argument that the couple were having, in which Palak wanted to go back to India while Patel wanted to stay in America. Patel is wanted for unlawful flight to avoid persecution, first-degree and second-degree murder, as well as first-degree and second-degree assault with a dangerous weapon with intent to injure. Patel could have fled the country or hid with relatives in the United States, and since his visa expired, it would be very difficult for him to legally leave the country. However, he is known to have connections in Canada, India, New Jersey, Kentucky, Georgia, and Illinois, so those are all places of interest. Here's the FBI's description of Patel. who was added to the top 10 on April 18th, 2017, and is considered armed and extremely dangerous. I saved this entry for last because he was actually recently captured. However, nobody has been chosen to replace him just yet, so he is still technically on the list, but it has like a big like captured in red on it, so yeah, I'm still going to briefly describe his story. Rafael is a Mexican drug lord who used to be the leader of the Guadalajara, I think that's how you say it, cartel in the 1970s. He shipped large amounts of marijuana to the United States and is responsible for the kidnapping of DEA agent Erika Camarena, pilot Alredo Zavala Alvadar, writer John Clay Walker, and dentistry student Alberto Redalat, who were tortured and murdered in 1985. Walker died from blunt force trauma to the head. Radale was wrapped in tablecloths and buried alive, and Camarena and Zavala were killed due to Camarena being an undercover agent that helped burn $116 million worth of Rafael's marijuana. Rafael fled to Costa Rica but was arrested and sent back to Mexico and was only sentenced 40 years for the murder. His cartel soon broke apart and he was eventually freed from jail on August 9th, 2013, when a state court concluded that he was tried improperly. The United States obviously wanted Mexico to rearrest him, but at that point he dipped, so. He lost his final appeal to avoid extradition to the United States on March 27, 2021, and was eventually arrested in Mexico on July 15, 2022. He was originally put on the list in 2018 and considered armed and extremely dangerous, and the reward offered was by far the highest, which was a total of $20 million. So yeah, those were the 10 fugitives on the FBI's most wanted list. Once again, if you have any information on these individuals, I strongly recommend that you safely inform the FBI about it. These are some of the most dangerous people loose in the world, who could potentially offend again. Statistically speaking, these people will be caught at some point, but law enforcement needs the help of the public to make that happen. I'm really interested to see who replaces Rafael in the top 10 list. And if you have any ideas of who you think would be a good candidate for the top 10 list, any like at-large fugitives, let me know in the comments. I would love to research it. But yeah, make sure to like, subscribe, and comment if you enjoyed the video. And once again, I'm Fright from Frightopia, and thank you for watching.